I share this part. This is the key parts of the story, man.
Okay, let me go to my videos. Edit videos. Let's go watch the one I just did. Screw YouTube, bro. I'm glad I have Twitch because I have backed ups of everything.
Collection of people like to see. So I think there's a danger in becoming siloed with depending upon social media.
Cats, they love to watch the fish. They
I
also
haven't
walk into the koi
spoken to
pond on the rocks
I haven't
and
spoken to the
even
chat
sometimes
rooms that I
put
wanted
their
to
hand.
Oh yeah, I can export these. Yes, dude. Sign it with Google. What? Oh, export to YouTube. Oh shit, you can export that shit to YouTube? Oh, I can download it too. Yes, dude, this is so cool. I'm gonna download all my fucking streams, dude. Fuck YouTube. I got fucking 7 terabytes. Put that shit on. Yeah, dude. Fuck YouTube. Thank God for Twitch.
So Bob is like showing that he has degrees from these things. I think he's conning a lot of
Thank
these
God for
guys too
Twitch,
to
dude.
get whatever. So
Fuck YouTube.
no sound, dude. They
YouTube is
can't even
ass.
hear
I
it.
want to get off YouTube completely. I want to go to Rumble or something.
Really, bro?
YouTube is so fucking retarded, dude.
Let me see. Anyways, I'll play it again if you guys want me to.
He was still a pretty eclectic fellow. I mean, he'd show up for photo deliveries in a Honda with a jet engine in it, so he wasn't your normal guy. He looked like a scientist and was certainly an interesting guy, even if he owned the photo lab. And not everybody drives a car with a jet engine around Las Vegas. Certainly not in 1985.
And you were sort of instrumental in making the link from Bob to John Lear.
Right. I had seen John on the record with you and was really interested. I mean, John had a lot of UFO history.
We did a show called On the Record, and one of these shows that airs at like 6 o'clock in the morning on a Sunday that nobody watches, and it's a city councilman would be on, and there's John Lear unveiling his beliefs about UFOs and government cover-ups and things, and all of a sudden the phone's ringing off the hook and people are paying attention and calling me up and, hey, when are you going to have that guy on again? So we had him on again, had him on a third time. It was even a bigger response. And that's sort of how I got hooked on this stuff, is that I thought, gosh, this touches the pulse of the public in a way that I had never been aware of before. I couldn't figure it out. So we thought maybe we would look into this. And in that third show, John Lear hinted that he might know a guy who was working out at Area 51 on recovered alien technology. You remember that show, John?
Yeah. And you called me up that afternoon and said, any ideas on what we can do for an encore? And I said, well, I have a friend that just got canned out there. Maybe he would want to talk. And then you set the whole thing up for that interview.
So through Gene Huff, you meet Bob Lazar. And
yeah, Gene called me and he said, I'd like to get a copy of all your tapes and stuff. And I said, well, I need an appraisal. And so we traded the tapes for the appraisal, and he brought over Bob Lazar to hold the measuring tape. And Gene and I are talking about UFOs, and Bob couldn't have been more disinterested. He was rolling his eyes. I mean, he thought this was all just baloney. He just couldn't believe it. He said, look, I worked at Los Alamos. If there'd have been anything like that, I would have known.
Well, first of all, you know, I had known Bob Lazar that long back then, so we weren't as all buddy as we are.
Hey, can I get a copy of your UFO stuff? And I said, Gene, I'm out of it. My wife's, you know, going nuts. I said, I just dropped everything. He says, well, in case you ever get a, you know, need a appraisal on your house, maybe we could work a deal out. I said, you're an appraiser? And at that time, I needed an appraisal to get a second because it was totally out of money. He said, yeah. I said, oh, well, listen, I'll give you all my stuff if you'll appraise my house. And from that day on, he has always held that against me because he had no idea how big this place was. And he claims he got the short end of the deal. But when he came over, the guy that was holding the measuring tape was Bob Lazar. And so
oh my God.
over his resume, and I'm talking, he handed it to me. And that's when I saw, you know, the degree from MIT and the degree from Caltech.
Where is it? Show me the alternate reality that you believe that doesn't lock up with my actual reality. I mean, where are those other facts? Just show me what they are. These facts you grabbed together and painted a different story of my life than I did.
Could you reveal some of the professors at MIT and Caltech?
Yeah, if you want. I don't have a list of them here. Dr. Duxler, I think, was one of them, and Hochsfield was another. Hochsfield. HOHSFIELD or something along those lines.
They remember you?
Oh yeah, Hochsfield I know well.
These are at MIT or Caltech?
Hochsfield was at MIT. Duxler was at Caltech. And what evidence to support that?
Right.
Yeah, and what's the evidence to support those claims? Is that just something to say?
No, I'm just saying that's the kind
of. If you make a statement, you have to have some evidence to say where the statement came from. It's your base
point. He took Huff and a few others to the edge of the Groom Mountains to see the flights for themselves. A total of 5 witnesses on 2 consecutive weeks managed to dodge security patrols long enough to see the strange glowing object lift above the mountain.
It came up above the same mountain.
YouTube is stupid.
It moved around. It did a step move. It actually went up in the air like this and hovered, then dropped way down. Then it just floated around and cruised around, and then it started coming up the mountain range.
This home videotape was recorded during one of the trips to the Groom Mountains.
Okay. Good luck.
Are those guys still alive? Oh wow. I'll go to my Twitch. I'm gonna drop the link up here. I'm gonna try to share this real quick. Like my brain's being fried, dude. Alright, and then get my Gmail, get the hashtags. The hell is taking so long for Gmail? What the fuck?
Oh, again. Jesus. So I've been given permission to share some emails here, guys. All right. I
fuck YouTube.
Okay, so it's a live show, and you know what? You know what's really messed up is I want to talk about some things too. I just want to say some behind the scenes thing. When I went down to Concrete Podcast, we recorded for 2 hours, and then we had to scrap the whole thing because there was an audio problem and an audio glitch. And I'm like, it wouldn't be an alien scientist podcast without audio problems and audio glitches and stuff. And I swear, this is like, I'm sorry if I'm messing up the mute button because I can't. It echoes if I have it open mic while it's playing videos. So I had to mute that. So I'm sorry for that, guys. But I swear, when I was down there, I'm like, we thought it was a bug because of the pulse modulation on the signal and what was going on with it. So like, we were literally looking around the whole office, and we had to stop the whole podcast. And I'm like looking for like bugs, because he has all these CIA people on his show, and he had some guy from the CIA on the show for like 2 days before. So I'm literally there like, searching around on the floor for friggin' bugs and this guy in the place. And then we eventually traced it down. We were like trying to see if it was interference with the current and the cables or crossovers, and it ended up being the Behringer board. He just bought this brand new board for the stream, and the USB thing there's something up with the ground. Some kind of interference modulation on the circuit with the ground on the USB port or something, because you can hear the burst signal through the audio very, very clearly, and it's just it was very annoying, and we had to shut the audio off. And anyways, I had bad luck with one of those Behringer boards before. When I was trying to set up for my own podcast, I had bought a 4-channel mixer and had gotten the same problem, and he ended up switching back to the old Yamaha board, and that one worked much better. It was like way better, way cleaner audio. And so I was like, if you guys got a professional podcast studio like they had down there, I told them they should invest in like a Carvin or a Line 6 is middle of the road. I would go with like Yamaha's good, middle of the road. It's Samsung.
Twitch is awesome.
I don't know. I haven't tried out a lot of them, but I know like
Twitch is great. They're so much better when it comes to this shit. They never fucking.
Yeah, I don't know. The Behringers, I've had bad luck with them too, dude. That's
YouTube is always
I don't
like
know.
threatening to delete your channel and all this shit. Just for watching.
Anyways, that was the audio issue we had there, and but I got permission from Gene Huff to share some things from some of these emails, and he's been talking back and forth with Bob Lazar actually a little bit, and I see. So he wanted me to share something with the audience a little bit, but he's got some thoughts on TD Barnes too. So the Area 51 guy who worked out there for years says Bob never worked out there, and he thinks that he thinks that he's like trying to paint a bad picture of him for maybe because he discredited Bob, or maybe because he claims to speak for all the Area 51 employees. And I was like, well, if you know any more that would talk on the record, I'd love to talk to him. He was saying that he worked in real estate for 30 years out in Las Vegas.
UAP, or unidentified
he's met more
phenomenon, in that UAP task force
out there.
And as far as I'm concerned, or am knowledgeable about that, I do believe it does involve collaborative inputs
he can even shake a stick at
information exchange with all kinds of countries around the globe, because I think these are not just solely
beforehand. I don't know. It's just the whole story. I'd love to get them on
events that occurred within the confines of the United States.
And Jeremy Corbell on,
and I think
and
we're
George
collecting
Knapp,
that information.
We're
sharing information. We view that as an open and transparent
see if we can give Bob Lazar the migraine of the year.
Congress and
that would break the internet, I think, if we did that podcast.
And so I would encourage greater collaboration and cooperation in that, and particularly
it's good that
I think as we
I got some new followers and got some new people subscribing to the channel. Welcome to the channel if you're a new subscriber, and I don't just want to bang on Bob Lazar and bring other people down. I want to bring people's education levels up, and I want to call out the people I think are shills, man. They call me a shill and send armies of trolls on my podcasts. And when I start blowing up, I want to be here to defend myself and say, hey, if you want to sit there in the audience, and I mean, it was the same guy. It was like the same 4 accounts. Like every 20 minutes, these dudes in the podcasts, right? Every 20 minutes, they'd be saying, "Oh God, this is terrible. It's so cringe. I can't watch anymore. I'm leaving. I got to turn this off." Every 20 minutes, but you're there for 4 hours, bro. You're there for 4 hours watching it the whole time. Like seriously. Oh my God. And then they're saying, they're just trying to contradict everything that I say without really doing the evidence. Like one guy said, "Oh, I just looked him up on the Bridgewater University website, and I can't find any evidence that he has a degree or went to those schools." And you know, I got to email Dr. Kling and say, "Yeah, how many people emailed you this week and asked you if I really went to this school?"
Various technologies that will help demystify or debunk
I hope he watches the interview, man.
But I think it's also important. One of the reasons that we are doing this effort is because national security concerns are of paramount importance.
I get praise from a lot of physicists, a lot of PhDs, and a lot of scientists who watch my stuff and say, "Hey, thank you for doing this. Someone has to do it, man. It's not going to be me.
I think
it's
that's
better to be you.
Much like
you
we do in the International Civil Aviation Organization, or otherwise known as ICAO, or in any other international bodies
from a good university. So I don't need to listen to anything this guy has to say. You know, I only listen to PhDs from the top school universities. And you know, honestly, bro, if you're a scientist and you read scientific literature, you don't care. You don't only read the papers from MIT and Caltech, bro. Like, you read all the papers in your field in the relevant curriculum. It doesn't matter what university they're from. If you're interested in the subject and you're doing legitimate research, that's it. That's all. This elitism is like garbage, man. Oh, yeah, it never changes. And in any case, I'm pretty excited for the future. I've heard that Joe Rogan subscribes to me on follows me on Twitter, right? Let's get confirmation of that on
I think the second part of your question
I want to confirm this.
Was related to UAP, or unidentified aerial phenomenon, and that UAP task force.
Joe Rogan follows you.
And as far as I'm concerned, or am knowledgeable about that, I do believe it does involve collaborative inputs and information exchange with all kinds of countries around the globe.
Yeah, I have 100. Yeah, it's crazy, the numbers, man.
There we go, guys.
They can't block it on a podcast
Good work,
like
gentlemen.
Concrete. So we got out to a lot of people there, man. I got the information out. Good. You know what? And I'm going to be training every day.
Good job, guys. We did it.
For my battle with on Joe Rogan. I'm gonna start like literally training now. You thought I was good at like naming off facts and bringing up names and all that stuff before. I'm going to train like you've never. Yes, debating in the mirror, dude. This is what I do. I run through all this stuff all day, and I try to run through the names of all the people involved. And if I don't know it, I'll go look it up and try to get more information on it. I try to run through it every single day so that I have that kind of knowledge retention, and I'm able to go on and just rattle off just straight fire for like an hour straight, like I did on Concrete, man. I was just like going off on stuff, and then every once in a while he'd be like, all right, well, we got to get into that, and can you explain that a little bit better? And I would try to slow it down and back it up and really break down all the science as best I could. And the truth is this stuff is like we could go for like hours into some of this. It's crazy, dude. I've worked hard for this, man. I'm not gonna say I don't feel like it's not deserved. So this is only the beginning, and I want to go on Lex Friedman and some of these other podcasts, before I just blow my top. So yes, the notes. I got to get like page. I have I had a little black book that I was working on, and then I gave it to a friend, and I think it might be down at the lab still. Which, by the way, so let's talk about the hearings. Let's talk about the lab and the hearings. I might go down to the lab for a day. I might go down for the hearings. The DC hearings are Wednesday morning at like 10:30 a.m. or 10 a.m. They start. Yeah, March 14th, the watch hearing. This is it, March 14th. No, this is April 17th. So 19th. It's April 19th. So UFO or UAP. Let's see. Yes, here it is. Okay, U.S. Senate committee to hold open hearing next week on UFO sightings. Okay, so it's specifically on UFO sightings. And well, this is relevant because I have a whole intelligence summary report, which you know what, I'll download that to the flash drive with I don't know if we're going to hand out copies of the whole database, because the whole database contains a lot of information in here, guys. There's a lot of stuff. So we have all the YouTube APEC YouTube presentations, like the slide presentations we have on PDFs. We have you know, with sources and stuff, and supporting documents or papers related to all the APEC guests, which is just, that's a ton of stuff right there. APEC is the Alternative Propulsion Engineering Conference, altpropulsion.com, if you want to check the conference out. We are going to start holding the conference again, just not like quite so regularly that we were. It might be like a once every 6 months thing. We had to get a lot of stuff out, and now that we've weeded out a lot of the weeds, we're going to start trying to hold a more serious conference like every 6 months, where we have a more dedicated team of scientists and engineers who are working towards building machines that prove gravitational coupling or gravitational force field manipulation or forces or other types of propulsion concepts, including, you know, warp drives and negative mass and experiments with polariton condensates. And also we're going to be building that terahertz material that was supposedly given to the CRADA agreement, TTSA, metamaterial. For that, when TTSA rounded up all the pieces of metal from the public and then handed them over to the government, and said that they were helping with disclosure. Weird. I won't have any pictures of that, but yeah, they had this Roswell metamaterial, and Hal Puthoff was all talking about it with the 3 micron layers of magnesium and the 30 layers of bismuth. I have it on one of the slides on my UAP technical summary report. I have a UAP technical summary. Let's find this. Let's find the slide, Shelfie. Where's the one? I talk about what it might be and how it might work, the physics of it. And we're going to basically try to rebuild this with vapor deposition, but we're also working on the types of, and you know, crystals that can up frequencies. We can start with some high-end gigahertz, which we have capability to generate thanks to some. We went down to Sandia, this place right outside of Sandia, down in when was that? So that we could go to Where's the lab equipment video? We went down to this place. This is a warehouse for all the old lab equipment. And I don't know if I did a video on it. I know I recorded one. I mean, I never posted them. I should post some of those videos. So we went down to New Mexico and got a bunch of this equipment, and some of it was EG&G. Was made by EG&G, including these gigahertz generators. And we bought a couple of these gigahertz generators from that were old EG&G equipment, maybe from Sandia, maybe from Area 51. Who knows? But we got those, so we can produce some high-end gigahertz. And now we need like the type of crystal optics to upgrade up that frequency to terahertz, so that we can get terahertz. So we're kind of approaching about 2 terahertz right now with what we're capable of doing, but we need to be, I think, in the 9 terahertz range in order to get this anti-gravity effect, according to the physics team that we're working with. So we're trying to get there, and if we can get there one way or the other. Also, I was going to have Brian Kelly on to give his presentation on his idea for light pumping for an anti-gravity and inertial mass reduction effect. But I think we're going to save him for another, we're going to have another APEC conference soon, and we're going to bring him on for that. So we're saving that for the next APEC conference that we do. And it would be great to get Bob Lazar on APEC. The invitation's always open, and I don't think that he'll accept it. So I've also given a challenge to Corbell and Knapp. I'm giving them a official public challenge to a debate, and should they accept, we'll see who knows more about the physics. Yeah, so this is Garrett Maudel and Bernard Haish. This is the quantum. I'm going to make sure I put some of these links in the description for people to check out. So, okay, so I'm going to keep it going on YouTube, but I'm going to shut it down on the Twitter stream. So, thank you all for watching this on Twitter, who's watching it live on there. And look forward to seeing me on Lex Friedman podcast and Joe Rogan. And we can totally blow all the scientists right out of the water. I'll expose 20 Bob Lazars that people didn't even know about, had no idea about. Maybe those people don't want to be exposed, but I think that they need more funding. I think that they need more resources and help. In addition to that, so before I remove the on Twitter, I just want to say that people can go to Venmo if you want. Send me some. I'm trying to get some money to go to DC. To get a couple. Get a couple bucks together, because I want to go to DC on Wednesday to go to this UAP hearing, and I want to bring copies of my UAP technical summary, and I want to bring there's that material. So the bismuth, 3 microns of bismuth, 150 microns of magnesium, and alternating layers. For whatever reason, I think it's a Bragg reflector. Talk about dielectric mirrors or Bragg mirrors. Looks very similar to, this is an effect that's known in these types of materials, which is why I think that it's what I think it's doing. And I explain how it works with a real world example using sound, where they take a single burst impulse of a clap, and the return signal is a high pitched chirp. So these high pitched chirps can break these signals into these modulated waves, but also these high pitches are very those peaks might be so strong that they could potentially, if you had the reverse of this effect. So if you do the reverse thing, you can take a bunch of small little peaks and turn it into a gigantic burst. Okay, and that gigantic burst is what you need to break what's known as the Schwinger limit. And the Schwinger limit will allow you to polarize the vacuum. Yeah, this is what Sal Pays is talking about in the U.S. Navy patents and in his interviews. So just in summaries, this is a very lame and dumb person summary of physics, which, again, they're working on this. Navy's funding it. They're probably way ahead of this stuff. At least they should be. I would be if I had tons of funding and tons of money to do this. That's why I'm trying to get to Washington to try to talk to some people about it and share this info and the intel that I have and the stuff that I've put together over the last 2 decades of deep scientific research into UFOs, taking this subject way too seriously, spending way too much of my free time on it. People say, this guy needs a hobby. No, this is my hobby, dumbass. Oh, you want me to play? I hate golf. You want me to, what do you want me to do, man? This is what I love. Just because I don't love baseball and football and whatever else, man. This is what gets me off, is reading physics papers at 3 a.m. and diving into like deep mysteries and finding a new scientist through, or the colleague of one, and then realizing that he stole all his research from his grad student, who's the real genius. But I need to read all his grad students' work. And yeah, come on, dude. This is what gets me off, and this is my obsession, man. Yeah, I've spent way too much time on this. Yeah, a lot of people have spent way too much time on this. Look at all the people who spent way too much time on Bob Lazar, man, and you're sitting here criticizing me, getting a little bit of views on the Concrete podcast, and I get all these haters, man. Meanwhile, Bob's up there pretending to be a senior staff physicist, telling people the secret to UFO anti-gravity technology is just element 115, and that they've got it all figured out already. And they let this guy get a free pass, and it's cool for him to get 500 million views on some of the biggest platforms out there, man. But God forbid I try to get on here and talk about some real, a whole list of documented science and real scientists and the real physics of anything. And what's going to happen? What happens to me? Oh, I got an army of trolls telling people, oh, this guy, yeah, he's definitely a CIA plant. This guy, yeah, he's definitely working for the government right now, shilling it up. It's silly, dude. Anyways, we're going to have more of these people on. Get Jack Sarfati back on again. Yes. Again, these people have really good physics, real solid math to back up the ideas, and they can speak to it on a deep level. I would love to get Eric Weinstein on with some of my friends, a panel that I could host or put together on my channel, man. That would be epic too, just on the deep physics of this stuff, because I know the gist of it, but I talked to some smart people, some Ed Wittens out there who are real deep on this kind of stuff, and would love to have a sit-down table conversation with all these guys. That's another one. This guy hasn't talked much, but I know he's working with Garrett Modell on that free energy stuff, so the quantum vacuum energy extraction stuff that I had up before. So there's some free energy stuff. I'm open to experimental proof, but I just very firm believer in the second law of thermodynamics. So also very skeptical of these claims of free energy and stuff. And I'm always suspecting that some of these scientists and people could be part of an elaborate CIA, ruse or scam that they're just trying to throw people off with the, there could be scientists that, where they figured this out. So say that they did figure this out, and then they got another scientist that comes along with some crazy idea, and they know he's wrong. And they could prop him up and fund him, knowing that he's wrong, and make him the poster child, make him think he's super smart, play with his ego, put him out in front of the, and they could easily do that with someone saying, that's obviously not Bernard Haish, but there are other, if you type in theoretical physicists, and look up images, you might find a picture of one of these types of people. No, these guys are all pretty solid. This is Freeman Dyson. There's Ed Whitten right there. Shokaku. He's kind of maybe one of those types of people too, because he's a big string theorist, and seems kind of easily manipulated, and a talking head in some regards. But he's also done some really good work, and he's also a really smart guy who does real, good physics in some cases. So, yeah, we're all such amazing humans, but we're all so limited and human at the end of the day, which is all right. It's okay. I don't blame the fact that Bob Lazar did big pimping, and we go to the Bob Lazar timeline, for example, and you talk about the issues with the brothels. So that was another thing on the podcast. Is one thing I tripped up on. I said, oh, he literally ran a brothel. And then I said, no, he didn't run a brothel. What I meant to say was, I tripped over my words a little bit. I didn't fully correct myself, and I was too focused on trying to lay out the next thought that I didn't take time to go back and correct myself and really lay that out. So the thing is, there's two brothels. Okay, so that's where I got mixed up, and that's where I have. So one is he actually, in 1986, he bought into a legal brothel called the Honeysuckle Ranch. Okay, that was the first brothel. It was a legal brothel called the Honeysuckle Ranch. And then I guess they started, they had another illegal brothel called the Crystal Cove, or the, what's it called? Cove.
Oh crap, OBS stopped responding. What? Oh, there we go.
Cover up live. Newport Cove. They were the Newport Cove apartments on Tamara Street, but I think it was called the Crystal Cove or something was the name of it. But he was this prostitute named Toni Bullock, who was Toni Bullock, and she was mentioned in the pandering charge case that Bob was involved with. So there was two different brothels. So I got one he actually bought into and ran with business wise, or they say he didn't run it, he just kept the books on it. That's, if you keep the books, man, you're running things. If you're keeping books too, I don't know what you're trying to say if he's with that statement, some of the people, but anyways, the Newport Cove apartments, it was a different one, the Crystal Cove, and that's the one where Toni Bullock was running that one. She was the madam, and Bob just set up the CCTV camera apparently, and that's what he was busted for with the pandering charge. So, again, there's some pretty wild characters in physics, like Jack Parsons, who American rocket engineer with the JPL, or Jet Propulsion Ames, Caltech Ames Jet Propulsion Laboratory, what would eventually, or the JALSIT Rocket Research Group, and JATO, Jet Assisted Takeoff for the U.S. military. So he was involved with a lot of this early rocket research, pre-space program stuff. So he died in 52 before like 6 years before NASA was created. He died in an explosion. And this guy used to have wild, sex magic UFO summoning parties in the desert with his wife. So he did some wild stuff, all documented that he did it. But he was also a real rocket engineer, and he was, as Parsons' spiritual mentor, Aleister Crowley. I think, he followed Aleister Crowley's stuff and dabbled in black magic and all this stuff. So it was not to say that you can't have and then a lot of the Nazi space program were Nazis. I mean, a lot of the American space program were former Nazis. So just because someone's a bad person or did terrible things or was a sex freak or whatever, a prostitute, ran a brothel, doesn't mean that they're not an awesome physicist and didn't do real science research and real physics research. Then again, what do we have? Bob said he was hired to figure out that it was element 115 and reverse engineer this spacecraft propulsion system, but he doesn't really have like the background and he doesn't have the resume and credentials that these other guys do. So what? People compare all these other scientists who have done weird things and say like, oh, just because he ran a brothel doesn't discredit the whole story. No, it's just like one part of the whole story that gets left out a lot of times in the telling and retell, in the retelling of the story, because it gets recycled and retold, and just all the facts get edited out to show a one-sided picture always. And never do they talk about real physics or real science. So, and by the way, guys, there's so many, we usually get like 200 viewers, live viewers in a stream, and there's a lot of, maybe it's just because the time of day we're doing this, but there's a ton of new names in the live chat here. Immortal Duke, what's up, man? Welcome. Evil Fandango, Bringer of Change. So there's a lot of old names and a lot of new names, in the chat here. So I'm saying we're probably getting more viewers, and they're just suppressing this some other way, that are suppressing the view counts and stuff, because I think we got way more people watching with the amount of comments we're getting and the difference in the audience. So it's just weird what's going on. Well, I submitted that report. I submitted my UAP technical summary report to that conference, dude. And I got to make sure when that is. I got to keep up on that, because I would like, if I'm invited, I'd like to attend, and I'll talk to Jack. He'll send me a link if it's live online in a video conference, then I can get the link from Jack. I'm sure he'll send it to me.
Oh man, come on.
So
I'm gonna restream,
because he already looked at my summary report. He said I give it a B+, which is, hey, I'm happy with a B+, man. That's it'd be nice if I could get it upgraded to an A+, but some of the stuff, but in time, and yeah, dude. No, I find a lot of people like get unsubscribed, or they just came around again and stuff. So I'm glad to have you back, man, and I'm glad to have a lot of new people here. This is awesome, because I almost want to put out some ads at local, like at MIT, to try to find some grad students or some students from local universities to come help us work on some of the research projects that we're trying to do and start with some of the stuff we want to do. So that's awesome, man. Yeah, that's cool, man. I wish I got into this stuff back then, but I was just a teenager, so a little bit before my time. That's cool though. I'm learning from all you. I'm learning from all you old timers and passing down the knowledge as best as I can. So the this came from Leonard Susskind's slide here, by the way. But yeah, this is we're trying to get alien scientist intern program, and we're trying to get more stuff set up, and I'll be happy to put you on some video calls with people and stuff, and give you access to the database if you're a student and something I said about the physics or something I talked about intrigued you, and